Two chain driven. This is the front sprocket conversion kit. This is the material I'm going to be using to cut all of my engine mounts out of. This is 3/8 inch steel. I think it's cold rolled. It's the same material that's made out of the DOM tubing here. It's the same process, so it'll be just as strong. And it's nice and thick. This will also be the material that I use to cut the gussets out of to actually add structural rigidity to the bike as well. So yeah, let's figure shit out. Normally I probably wouldn't show this process just because it's so freaking ghetto, but I have everything kind of like, I have everything held together with these straps and some pieces of square steel that I have. Basically I'm just going to cut out an engine mount, put it there, make it connect to these two, and then once I figure out the perfect angle and all that good stuff, I can replicate it, put it on the other side, weld them together, and then it will start making the rest of the mounts. Alright, so I'm out of ideas right now on how to do the engine mounts. I don't fucking know how to do it. I don't know how to start by making engine mounts, so I'm gonna take a break. Come back at this, I guess tomorrow or something. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing right now. Not very often do I find myself just like completely at a loss for ideas. It's just right now the engine is just so fucking heavy. I can't get around it. I thought that once I got the bottom ones done, I could do the top ones, and even though the bottom ones are all lined up and whatnot, I'm not sure if they're gonna work now. So maybe instead of doing that, I'll suspend the engine with the top motor mount and then just have it hang and then kind of build the rest of the motor mounts to it. I don't know. I'm out of ideas right now. Fuck. Well, this idea didn't work, so I ordered an engine hoist. This should help me manipulate the engine better just because the engine's so freaking heavy, so let's build it. By the way, this is how the box showed up from FedEx. And there we have it. We have a working lifty thing that we're going to try to use to manipulate the engine and try to get a better position so we can make the engine mounts. Simple as that. lighting gives me a good idea. So now I gotta recreate the motor mounts that I already have on there. Before I was cutting 3/4 inch steel. All right, you see how thin this is? That's how thick I was cutting for the engine mounts. Turned out, after doing research, it was way too overkill. So I'm gonna be using, this is 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. This should be more than good enough for engine mounts. OEM uses like 3/16, so this should be more than enough. That was like butter compared to that 3/4. You know, 2 pieces of metal that were literally still not even as thick as the original motor mount that I was using. So now I'm just gonna drill press a hole through this and that'll be good to go. I really like drill presses. That makes this so much easier to get accurate, consistent drills. Now I'm just gonna round out the corners, bolt it to the engine, then drop it down on the frame using my contraption. I know this garage has gotten disgusting in the past couple of days just because, like, I've been trying to do everything, as you guys know. If you guys don't know, if you guys, for instance, don't follow me on Instagram, you don't know that Jackson's not been feeling good. He's hurt his leg. So I have him in his favorite little sunbathing spot with his bed so he doesn't have to lay uncomfortably. It's his back right leg, the one he's, you know, laying on right now. But he's not been feeling well for the past day or so. He's got a good little bit of a limp, but he's still been able to walk around on it a little bit. I'm not going to take him to the vet just yet. We'll see, because he hurt his back like a couple months or so ago, and he healed up really quick from that. I don't know what it was, but he hurts himself every now and again, jumping off the couches and stuff, isn't it, buddy? That's the only reason that Jax isn't in the garage with me right now, is because he needs to heal up. So here's my idea, is that I can bolt these to the engine and lower them down onto the supports to make sure that everything's good, try to line up the sprockets, and then tack these in place, and then pull the engine out, and then finish trying to do the rest of the engine mounts. I have no idea if this is gonna work. Alright, so I've got the engine mounts going to sit. Unfortunately, I need to make the engine mounts a little bit longer. Not long enough. I didn't measure right. Spent all that time making a secondary engine mount after making the first ones. Now I got to do it again because these aren't long enough. So you extend these, make the exact same thing, drop them about another 1.5 inches. Alright, well, the front motor mounts are in place. You know, they're just kind of half-assed tacked in there. But they hold up the front, and then I will do, there's more motor mounts here. Here, we gotta do a hanging one. And then there's a transmission plate in the back that mounts to the frame. I don't know which one I'm gonna do next, but I think I'm just gonna stop right here. I'm freaking exhausted, and you know, while this giant crane has been helpful, this is still ass kicking just because the engine is so fucking big. So at this point I've redone the front engine mounts about 3 times, but I finally got them perfectly lined up. They're good to go. So now the front engine mounts are completely done. They're good to go. Now I have to figure out a way I can mount the rear. So here the rear. I kind of want to maintain this gap because this engine is very hard to get in and out of
the frame as it is. So, what I'm thinking about doing is mounting a bracket here that aligns with this hole, and then just screwing in it, and then that way the bolt can just go through, and then doing another bracket up here that does the exact same thing, and then just welding it to the backbone here. That way I can maintain a gap that drills in like that. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. We'll figure it out.
Alright, this kind of gives me a rough idea. Now the engine mounts, those are not super awesome. Once they get shaped up, and I'll do another one up top so it has 4 points, and then all we have left at that point is the hanger and then this front mount up here. I might just do this off camera because it takes such a long time and it's so not exciting to watch. There's so much work I had to get done off camera too. I ended up having to do the front engine mounts about 3 times, and then these rear ones took a good minute too. So it's a lot of work. Trying to get that. I think I'm gonna try to keep the wheel back as far as possible as well. That rear sprocket this was the hardest part I think so far, is making sure that the sprockets align. I've checked them about 3 times and they do align really well. But I will never be using a motor this big again, as far as like just how heavy it is. I think the next project I do, I will just do a rear stretch rather than just build a whole frame, because this did take a lot of work, you know, getting the mounts and whatnot in place. So I think the next project is going to be like a scrambler, similar to how the Harley ended up turning out, except more of like a Walking Dead style bike. I think it's gonna be my next build. But this should give you a good idea of how it's gonna sit. Now this is the original hanger that I ended up cutting off of the original frame, and these things are totally fuckered in there. So what I need to do is I need to either drill these out or see if I can impact them off. They're not coming off. And then I'll keep this hanger up there, but I'll make my own hanger from up here. Get the top hanger done, which shouldn't be hard. I should just be able to cut 2 pieces of metal and then have them back together like that. It'd be really easy. And then do the front one, which should just be a U connecting piece. I can make that no problem. Once the engine mounts are in place, the bike is done. If I can get the engine mounts done, I can finish all the welds, send it off the powder coat, put the whole thing back together, and the bike will be done. But this should kind of give you an idea. Everyone was saying that the bike was small. This thing's about as long as the Magna is. This thing's gonna end up being really long. Holy shit. This one actually might be longer than the Magna. It's hard to tell. The Magna's got an issue I'm working on right now too. That's why I haven't been riding it, but we got about 6 inches of clearance. Not bad. That front's still a little low. If I just go over here and give it like 2 good. There you go. Now it's nice and leveled out. This thing's gonna look rad when it's done. Sit inside of the fucker like. Just some little mini drag bars. Nothing really crazy. Put the tank on top of it, it'll be good to go. Actually, we might be able to set the tank on it now since the engine's in place. The tank's sitting a little funky because there's no mounts for it, and the hanger that I have now is getting in the way with the petcock. Don't worry, I'll worry about all that later. But once I start to do the mounts, the tank will actually sit more of like this, rather than kind of like it'll kind of like half do on this bar right here, so to kind of level out. But man, that thing looks freaking savage and goofy all at the same time. See, the goal is to have it where you sit kind of like inside the bike, and that's why I did this part so low. This thing's gonna look cool when I get done. It's gonna look real cool. Fuck.